I'm back, and because it is the April TBR Blitz Readathon and I'm a captain, I kind of have a duty to my team to provide the opportunity to get some reading done. So that's why I'm here. I don't have any guests as yet. There have been some invited, so we may be joined by other people as we go on. For now, you're stuck with me. Sorry about that, but I don't know what that means, but sure. No flies on you. No flies on you, Kev, means you're moving pretty fast. So, hey, Tori, I should probably send you a link, but you're probably doing your own sprints because you like that. I will send you a link. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, I didn't get much reading done yesterday. I had a drink instead and was a little bit sozzled. So instead, I watched, hi, Rebecca. Instead, I watched Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog again. Hi, Max. And yeah, I'm always reminded how much I love it because it's brilliant. So if you haven't watched Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, please do, because it's a little piece of magic. It's free on the internet. You can find it on YouTube. It's marvelous. I love it so much. And I'm sending you a link through Discord. Here we go to Tori. So if you wanted to join, you can. Here we go. And who else have we got? Zin. Hi, Zin. And Black and Blue Collar. That's Dan, I think. Is it Dan? I think it's Dan. Yeah. So I didn't read any really at all after I left the sprints yesterday. But I did finish a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle while I had Dr. Horrible playing, because it's only 40 minutes, Dr. Horrible. And then I was sociable with the family for long enough to be exhausted. And then I went to bed early. I was in bed by 9. So I feel really old. It's like, okay, that was something I did. But I have woken up full of energy today, which hopefully will translate into getting a lot of reading done. So thank you all for showing up. That's awesome. So what's everybody reading? I'm going to be continuing. Oh, it is Dan. Yay. Okay, I'm going to continue reading The Way of Dan because I need to. I don't know if any of you were here yesterday, but there was a scene in that book where I literally had to close my eyes. I couldn't even look. It was like, it's like, holy moly, that was a scene. I am very much enjoying The Way of Dan, and there's some blech, but that's entertaining to read because, that's sort of cool. So Zin's just over a quarter of the way through the Chaos Principle. Oh, well, that sounds really chaotic. What else have we got? We've got Ascendant. Nice. Fun so far. Because Ascendant's, that's the YA series. Is it one of the 5 Divergent books? We've got The Bone Shard Daughter. What scene am I talking about? I'm talking about the priests trying to get answers from a person in the dungeons. So, yeah. Pawn's Gambit. Nice. Who have we got here? Stacey. Hi. Bex. The Legend of Blackjack. I want a Tam. Yes, so do I. And if you're in the Keymark Discord, and if you're part of the read-along, you are, then if you've read The Legend of Jack Black, the wee bot in there that's called Fuji the Tam suddenly has meaning, and it's so much cuter getting a message from the bot once you've read the book. So, yeah. What else have we got? Wound Healer's Story. I think you were talking about this yesterday. You've made a fair amount of progress. I think you were about 10% in yesterday. Yeah. Ascendant, sort of. Oh, okay, it's not the one I was thinking of. A Dragon Rider book. Ooh, I like dragons. Dragons are good. And what have we got here? Emily. Hi, Emily. We'll be eating dinner and then reading Wayward. Okay, that sounds good. Halfway through Pyramids. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. I do like. I mean, I love almost all of Discworld, and Pyramids is one that, if you're in the right mood, is just a joyous, glorious thing to make your way through. Tipic is great. Oh, look, we have our first guest. Hi!
Hey!
There's Tori. How you doing?
Vesper, what did you say?
Can you hear me?
I can. You're a little bit quiet, but that's okay.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Okay.
To see if we can turn you up a little. That's all right. Just be loud.
Okay.
Okay, so we're reading Over Your Dead Body. Well, that sounds intriguing. By Dan Wells.
So, Dairy Ascendant, look at this cover.
Oh, that cover is so beautiful.
Isn't it?
Wow.
I know.
That is gorgeous.
I'm liking it so far. It's good. I've been told that it's like the Aragon that should have been.
Ooh.
So,
okay, that's promising.
Right? It's good so far.
Yeah. Magical realism with 3 times. Nice. There we go. We've got some love for Tori. Yay. And Kev. Oh, look at this. Kev reading. Good work, dude.
I really want to read that one.
Hooting through that one.
Yeah, I want to read that one.
Everybody speaks so highly of it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. More love for Tori. Yay. Well, see, you've got Zin on your team. All these beanies.
Sorry, they just kind of show up everywhere.
That's all right. It's all in good fun. And like I said all the way through, it's like, yeah, we're in teams, but we're all trying to do damage to the same boss.
Right.
So,
well, and I told, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but I said, I'm friends with all of the other captains. So like the smack talk, I try, but it's really hard to say anything mean.
No, and I kind of like that. It's like, yeah, we're all in it together and it's all just for fun. And we're literally just like, okay, who's going to get the best team out of this?
Yeah.
And ultimately, the next readathon, we're probably going to have another lot of muddled teams and enemies from this one will be friends in the next one. And so, yeah.
Yep.
Here we go. Oh, look, Kev, you traitor. Absolute traitor. Strategic decision because I figured Hoblubbers would have a good chunk, isn't it? Oh, okay. That's disturbingly true.
I was going to say he does have a point.
That's disturbingly true. I had to work very hard to get smaller books into my TBR for this one.
Yep. I almost had 3 that were over 500 pages on my TBR, and I had to put one out because I was like, nope. It's too much.
The thing is, my little books are the ones that sit on my TBR because I'm like, I can get to those whenever.
Yeah.
And then I never do. And yeah. So we've got a George Bim, we've got a spelunker. That's such a great word to say.
Isn't it?
Spelunker. Sorry, I have a thing with the way words feel when you say them. I love spelunker.
You must be a reader, Derry.
I am. Do you have a favorite word?
Oh, man. I said flabbergasted recently, and that's a fun one.
That is a fun one.
That's a fun one.
I had, I remember years ago now, I had a, nice, good work, Emily. I was so happy. I went with a class trip with a kindergarten up the Auckland Sky Tower. And I was able to use my favorite word in an actual sentence. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling all vertiginous. And because the elevator was so fast that it takes you up to the top. And I was like, oh, I can use it in a sentence. It was such a geek moment, and nobody there was a fellow geek. So I was alone in my happiness.
Well, if you were around a bunch of kindergartners.
Yeah, but all the other adults, because kindergartners, you've got to have a good ratio.
Right.
There was a lot of adults there, and none of them were like even vaguely interested in my joy.
That's why you come on to BookTube with all of the rest of us geeks.
It has got a lot to do with why I have now found my people. Oh, we have another guest. We have a Kate. Hi.
Hey there. I can only stay for a couple minutes, but
that's all right. Popping in to say hi.
Yeah, I have class tonight.
Oh, do you?
I'd much rather read with you guys.
Well, we may still be here when you get back. It depends how late we go.
Okay.
But maximum is going to be 3 hours because Alan and Christina are doing Patreon live.
Oh, right.
And I'm not missing that. So, what was the scene you had to close your eyes for in The Way of Edan? it wasn't necessarily disturbing. It just kind of was like, well, that's. The head priest was interrogating somebody mentally and results in things. And I was like, oh, okay, wow, okay, that happened.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, it's happened a few times already. And I'm a bit like, oh my God, who knew this darkness lurked within Professor Fantasy? Or Dr. Fantasy. Who knew?
It's all a facade.
I mean, we've all spoken with Philip.
Oh, yeah.
And he's such a lovely, lovely man. He's just so genuinely nice and kind. And then you read his book and you're like, okay.
That's how they start.
Yeah. Like, maybe this is why he's so nice. He's put all of his nasty in the books.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And you can see it happened. Yeah. Anyway, what are you reading, Kate?
For the readathon, I'm reading A Touch of Light.
Nice.
But then I also have like 3 other books that I have to finish from March. Plus, I'm beta reading a book for JCM Byrne. So I've got a lot
Was
going
it in the
on.
Wistful Ascending series?
It's a different series that he's trying out.
Oh, okay. Because I've got Wistful Ascending on my TBR, but it's not included.
Yeah, I have that one on my May TBR.
Ah, okay. Well, I might see if I can squeeze it into May and we can read it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, I agree, Zin. I am starting to lean into this whole maybe AP is right, and Philip has been a villain all along. Anyway, well, that's a good sort of solid intro, and hello to everybody. I thought I might start a sprint. How do we feel? Half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes?
Half an hour is usually.
Yeah,
Yep,
I'll be
half an hour.
leaving in about 10 minutes, but you all feel free to read as long as you want.
I think half an hour. If you leave us in the meantime, Kate, then that's fine, and we will maybe see you when you get back.
I'll think about you while I'm in class, learning about library
I
stuff.
wish you were with us.
Definitely.
All right, everybody, let's sprint.
Mhm.
rather than
Hey,
starting.
wake up, guys!
Well, we lost a Kate, but we gained a Mike. It's good to see you.
This is why when people say, "Hey, how much on average do you read per day?" It doesn't work that way with those things in the house. So
Yeah. Feel your pain. So here we go. We've got hi Tanner. Good to see you.
Tanner, I'm on chapter 5 of part 1, just to let you know.
What are you reading now, Evie?
I started my reread of Sunlit Ascends.
Nice.
Good stuff. Alrighty.
too big to read out of those, so I'm reading out of the Kindle version. Right? It's just too damn big.
Jeez,
So I'm
that's
reading out the
huge.
Kindle version. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of a Kindle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is that most Kindles fit inside a sandwich snap lock bag, and you can read it in the bath. And it doesn't matter if you drop it because it's now waterproof. And yeah, that's great because you only have to drop a book in the bath one time, and that's not a good thing.
Listen, soiled pages just add character.
I think I did remarkably well because it was the Goblet of Fire, which is a chonker, and I managed to get it mostly flat again and all of the pages separated. But it was an effort. Definitely an effort. So, Matthias says, no, what are we?
What are you reading for it?
Morose. Just pleased with God. Oh, dear.
Nice. How far are you? Oh,
Oh wow. So it reads pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's YA, so I mean it's
He sent me the first 2, and I was like, I don't know when I'll get to them, but yeah, sure. I'll
yeah.
take
I mean it's definitely chosen one.
Is it Aragon? I said I was just judging by the cover. It looks like Aragon. Yeah.
It's like I had it pitched to me as the Aragon we should have gotten. Which
I've never finished book 2 of Aragon, so good.
I've read 3 of the 4. This one I'm enjoying so far. I'm ready to get, it's a chosen one YA, so there's the training montage and all of the things, and I'm kind of like ready to be done with that part. But
I don't want to imply that I'm disappointed in you, Tori, but I figured you have that thing done by now. So,
well, I don't know. Has she about halfway? Did you start today?
This is the first time I've picked it up since yesterday.
Okay.
So I started, 2 days ago.
That's pretty good going.
Here's how where I am. Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, this probably reads quite a bit quicker than Mike Shackle, but
Just a little.
yeah. And after this one, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to pick up the Blade itself after this. We'll see. I think I might.
First time?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you like it. Now's the part where I'm like excited, but then I switch to nervous. I'm excited because you're gonna do it, but I'm nervous of what if you don't like it. I always do
I
this.
don't know.
There's always that fear when someone reads something you
Yeah,
love.
you're real excited. You finally got them to decide to read it, and then you start getting nervous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much like I have been the whole time you've been reading Hob. Like I need you to love it, and every time you're like, not a huge fan of this. I'm like,
Hey, look, I didn't offend Scott with my review today, so I figured I did okay. 'Cause Scott is easily hurt when you have any constructive criticism. So when it comes to Robin Hobb, so
yeah. I think I've read it enough. It's like, no, I know the flaws are there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I said the same things I have with Wheel of Time, and I'm like, I love Wheel of Time. So I mean, I said it's top 10 fantasy series for me. So I'm just saying,
Well,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot to love. Okay, Kyle. Kyle, is this what you're reading? Or what is this?
no, I think he's just excited that Tori's going to be reading the Blade.
I think
okay.
one of my team members is reading it for the first time this month as well, which is going to be fun. So
Yeah. I got into First Law last year. I read early in the year.
Okay.
Leanna was just raving, and I was like, okay, I need to find out why this is such an obsessive thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it, and I was like, okay, these characters are really cool, and I might read it again.
Nice. Well, there's 9 of them now, so
Well, this is it, and everybody has said that they actually get stronger. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, that I'm good for a long series that keeps getting better. So,
Oh man, I hope so.
ooh.
Yeah.
What are you reading, Derry?
I'm still on The Way of Edan.
That's on deck. Got that over here. Yeah, ready
Nice.
to go. I've heard good things, and I feel like not just like good things because everybody loves Philip, but like people are like, yeah, what do you know? Philip can write. I'm like, wow, least shocking thing ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm excited.
No, that's great. This was my first reading session of it where I didn't have to recoil at something gross or
Nice,
shocking.
Nice. I was wondering how PG he was going to be.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is clearly why Philip is such a lovely man. He's poured all of that darkness into the books over the years. And yeah, it's like, oh, okay. That came from Philip. I have to admit, it certainly adds to the experience. It's but I am enjoying it. I'm about halfway through now, so
I always love to see new people picking up First Law. Love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping I haven't done a vlog for a really long time, so I'm thinking I might vlog First Law. That'd be fun.
Can
I
you?
was thinking about having a live stream when the new Red Rising book comes out. Just live stream all day, and anybody who wants to read it can jump on. So
Yeah,
hint, Tori. Hint.
He hasn't read Iron, Gold, or Dark Age yet.
I know.
I have it.
She's got time. The book don't come out till July.
Yep,
I read Iron Gold in 3 days. My reread, so good.
Hold on, Kyle. I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
Malazan,
God.
I still haven't started my reread of Malazan. I should soon, hopefully. I don't know. It was one of those things where as I'm writing my own book, I kind of felt like I wanted to wait with my reread of Malazan just because it's such an important series for me. I didn't want to be as influenced by it as I'm writing. So I think I'm going to use it as like a reward for myself when I finish.
Yeah, if I was a writer, I don't think I could read anything at all. I'm too easily influenced. That's why I said I wouldn't write, because I say it's just all I do is just rewrite Dune meets Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, I know a lot of people make good careers out of that, but I'm not that guy. So, yeah.
Moxie.
It's Mutz.
I'm not even a good D&D player because I can't write anything. So, yeah.
Yep. You go up on the table. Go on. Oh, anywhere there.
They land on their feet. They're fine.
They do. He's just eaten, so that was not pleasant to have him breathing in my face, but but he's okay. Way too many things to read. Rereading Malazan. Yeah. Waiting for an Audible. Okay.
Yeah, I've had people all the time being like, why don't you just read what you want to read? Like, I am reading what I want to read. I just want to read everything right now, you know? I'm excited about these Ryan Cahill books. I'm excited to end this Mike Shackle series. I'm excited for Philip's book. We're doing the Song of Ice and Fire stuff. It's like, I'm reading stuff I want to read, you know? It's just,
there's so much. Yeah. I am sticking to my book buying ban for April.
I had made it to about yesterday.
Yeah, I'm holding strong. I was so upset when I saw that Book Depository is closing today.
Really?
And so I had a moment where I almost, but we're good. I'm okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know. That's about the only place you can get free shipping from the UK to the States. So.
I think Blackwell's is the other one I've heard mentioned is also free shipping international.
Yeah, they do also kind of up their prices a little bit just to kind of not
offset
lose as much money.
Yeah.
But they're still fine. There's also it's not free shipping, but there is a independent bookstore in Ireland, Kenny's. I'll send you guys the link. They do their shipping cost is like €1 per book for non-UK, non-US countries. So
that's pretty good going.
There you go, Derry.
Yeah, because I know when I sorted the Secret Santa last year, I found, I can't remember what it was. I think it was World Books, and they do free shipping globally, and they do ex-library copies. So when they buy like
Nice.
60 copies of a brand new book and then they really only want to keep 2, it all just sort of files into this stuff. So yeah, that's free shipping, and they donate books as well to third world countries. So
Cool.
I'm pretty sure it's worldbooks.com. But yeah, again, it's really tricky living in New Zealand, trying to get stuff. Although every now and then something gets delivered really quickly. As we have discovered this week, Evie sent me a parcel that arrived yesterday, and it was like, oh, I didn't order anything. Presents.
Also,
And-
it arrived a week before the earliest estimated date. So I was like, oh, okay.
Because literally that morning I had the message saying, just keep an eye out. There might be something coming next week. And I'm like, okay, so we're buddy reading something. And the Winter Night trilogy arrived, and they're beautiful.
Ulterior motives.
Oh, that sounds rad. What Jennifer's talking about here. Different kinds of swords have unique abilities, but they can't do anything else. That's pretty neat.
Oh, wow.
Not necessarily not anything else, or maybe they just can't do one other thing. That's pretty neat.
That is very cool. Fred Saberhagen. And you're reading that quite quickly, because I know that you're generally not a hugely quick reader, Jennifer. So that must be really good. Oh, Blackwell's is good.
Good luck on that,
Hewlett
man.
Packard, I don't think that's unusual. But you've
Glad
got
I got
that.
those when I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need
It's very
that.
frustrating, I think, as a I won't say a lesser author, but an author
Sorry,
who's
Kyle.
Everybody,
stuff isn't like a household name, and you're starting to get popularity, and no one can buy your damn books. That's got to be so frustrating, I'd imagine, as an author.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You feel like you're
definitely.
finally blowing up, and no one has access to it.
Well, it even surprises me, like the fact that we don't have easy access to hardcovers of things like Malazan.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
I've talked to a few authors. I don't want to mention their names. I've talked to them kind of off the record, and they told me that a lot of their publishers are really, really pushing digital now because it's just
Mhm.
pure profit for them. They don't have to pay any printing costs.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it's like, I get it. And it's cool that, more people have access to your book like instantaneously, but there are still a majority of readers who want the physical book in their hand while they're reading.
Yep.
So prefer to do that, and so like, well, I'm really going to take, half of my audience to be like, oh, you can only buy it on digital, that device you don't have. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be frustrating. Oh God, Caitlin, you did.
I thought about it. I thought about going through
Same.
and getting all of the like white like Cosmere books because I've been collecting them, and Book Depository is like the best place to get them if you're in North America. But
I
better
had to-
sense.
I had to
Man.
double check that there were other places I could get the fancy Realm of the Elderlings books before I was like, nope, I'll be okay.
Yeah, those ones too.
went
I
ahead and got
want to
those
get that
as
whole
soon as
set.
I could.
Yeah, I do too. Because right now I just kind of have a mishmash of mass market paperbacks. And to be honest, if like when I get to more Hob, I don't want to read mass market paperbacks. I just don't. So
Fair enough.
I think I'm going to be starting Fool's Errand in the next couple days after I finish what I'm reading now.
Great.
nice.
Really,
That's
really
my favorite
excited.
one.
Yeah, it's a lot of people's favorites.
So that's mine.
Yeah, I had Mara did a ranking of the Realm of the Elderlings books earlier in the week, and I was like, well, that one goes at the top because that's my favorite of the entire series. And Leanna is like, well, that one goes at the bottom for me. I'm like, sorry.
Why am I not
of course, I know
surprised?
Evie
I'm not
feels
surprised
very
either.
Yeah, I had that
similarly.
reaction with my ranking of Fool's Fate, and everyone's like, "That's my favorite in the series." I'm like, "Great."
I was surprised at your rating. Like, I mean, I haven't read it yet. I have no opinion, but I like just everybody raves about that book, and you're just like, it's okay. And I was like,
Well,
that's
cool.
great.
Now I've lowered the expectations, so when you go in, you'll be
Yeah.
like, "Mike was crazy." See,
I was legitimately 20 minutes ago watching The Wire. Not kidding, Tanner. Like 100%. First time in 3 years, though. It's not like I'm always watching it.
ooh, the
This
Fits in
is
the
true.
Cool trilogy. That sounds awesome. Fits in the Cool.
Yeah.
Fits in the Cool trilogy.
Yep. Special editions, they're a killer. What else?
That market is getting
coming out?
oversaturated, I think. There's just too many of them.
Oh yeah.
That's what
I
I do.
actually-
Then I break hearts. I'm here to break hearts.
I have a hard time with special editions. Like I've bought a couple of them, but I'm always too afraid to like read them. So I don't like to just have things. I'm one of those weirdos who wants something slightly practical. And so, like, I'd rather just buy an old beat up trade paperback because then I don't feel bad if I spill something on it.
Yeah, I just try and be careful. Like, I mean, I have like a leather-bound Warbreaker that I haven't read yet, but when I reread Warbreaker, like I will read it. I'll just be careful. But I'm pretty like this is my second time through this Words of Radiance, and it's like basically perfect condition. So I just treat my books pretty good generally.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that that holds true for like special editions.
Well,
I
the
do too.
illustrated Farseer, I mean, they're really reasonably priced.
They
and
are, yeah.
they're lovely to read. They're just lovely, lovely, just so lovely to read.
I like illustrated editions. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
But
got
the
those
artwork is beautiful.
Farseer ones. Like my wife got me a gift card because she's like, I can't keep track of all the books that you own. So for Christmas, I just got like $100 gift card for books. So I just went and bought the trilogy. And I really kind of just want to reread Farseer and like experience the illustrated editions now.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that your wife couldn't just go to your bookshelf and be like, "Oh, he doesn't have this book. Okay."
Evie, I thought we were friends. Haven't I told you that I moved recently and all my books are in storage? How dare you not know?
Oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, it's okay. But yeah, I have literally
Now
like
I'm just-
2 shelves of books here, and everything else is in storage. So
Well, then
Your
now
poor
you know
wife
which
is
ones are
being-
the most important
No.
to you, is really what you're saying. But poor Mason here going, you lucky sighted buggers. I wish I could had a pretty collection. Blindness is a bastard. No,
yeah, definitely.
no, this is a secret power, Mason. You're not wasting money on books that are just going to be ornaments for the rest of your life. You're saving a lot of money because, you know, it's what's between the pages that count. So, yeah,
True.
it's a secret power.
True story.
But the cover doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It is beautiful.
As someone who's been more and more doing cover buys lately. Like, what are you doing this, dude? You've
A
never
beautiful
done
cover
this.
does help.
Like, I didn't really care for Prior. No criticism if everybody loves it, but I didn't really care for Priory the Orange Tree. But I saw that second book, and I was like, God, that cover! Oh my God!
Beautiful.
Yeah, I haven't read either of them yet, but they're books that even if I don't like, if I bought them physically, I think I would just keep. Like, I'm like, they're too pretty to
Yeah.
donate. Or
It's
something.
Well,
so
and then
beautiful.
Yeah.
and then the broken binding editions were
Yeah,
even
Viking
more.
was showing them off, and I was like, "You bastard!" As he sprayed edges, with got like the tree branches growing. It's just so pretty. I'm like, man,
Oh, some of
that's
those
like the kind of
books-
book you think about putting like spine or the edges out on your shelf, and I would never do that, but I would be tempted with those because they're so nice.
I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of people do that with the Dandelion Dynasty books too.
Those ones are so nice. I want those ones more than
Mhm.
anything. I really regret not buying them at the time, but it was like right when I was in between like switching jobs, and I was like, I can't do it.
I'm looking at the clock going, it might be time to do another sprint.
I'm actually going to have to bounce, guys, because I have to go to choir shortly. So
Oh, exciting.
Exciting.
it's exactly
Yeah,
what I sound
alright.
like, Mike, in that tone too.
Okay. Don't forget to practice your sight reading; it's very important.
Right. So, Derry, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for popping in.
Yeah.
That's great. All right.
So
Well-
have a good sprint, guys.
Yeah, see you
All
later,
right.
Tori.
Sorry.
Bye.
And we shall read for half an hour again. How does that sound, guys?
I gotta go make dinner, but thank you.
All right.
so much
Enjoy
for having
dinner.
me. Take care, guys.
And
See you
we
later.
might catch you another time. Okay. Half an hour when we get half past 25 minutes. Yeah. Half past.
This is
What
what
do you
I'm
do?
reading, Anitha.
I was gonna say, what are you reading?
I just finished a chapter in Storm of Swords, so I'm going towards Radiance. Although I just bought this, so I just got this nice edition of Storm of Swords.
that's beautiful.
It was $4 at this used book sale, and it's in perfect condition, and I was just like blown away. But what's interesting is, so this is my 8th read of A Storm of Swords, and I've always read from these mass market paperbacks, and I've infused my emotions with like the way the font is in this book. Like I normally don't care about that kind of stuff, but I was reading from this, and I was like, the font's not right.
Something's off.
And so
Yeah.
I just kind of look at that one for a couple pages every once in a while. But yeah, I'm back to the mass market paperback for this one.
Wow. But that's an illustrated version, though, that new one, yeah?
It is, yeah. It has illustrations, and I haven't really looked at any of them yet. There was like one at the beginning, but I'm excited to check them out and stuff.
Cool. A little bit jealous because that is a beautiful copy.
Yeah, I was very excited. Like my wife and I split up at the book sale because there was like a whole area.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally was like running
Maximize
over
the-
to her, just holding it, like, look what I found.
I was gonna get really concerned if you didn't continue that sentence. My wife and I split up. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
no.
that was my first reaction as well. I'm sorry, what?
No, we split up at the book fair, guys.
You're
Anita,
maximizing the eyeballs on the shelves.
I am reading Sin Innocence. Rereading, I should say.
Yeah. How dare I have him on? Because unlike so many other people in Discord, I actually think that arguing with Kyle is really just a firm discussion on differing points of view that everybody is allowed to have.
Yeah, it's all fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes Kyle is actually, put this on record, right. So
once in a while I am.
Once in a while.
No, I don't know. Sometimes people just take things like more aggressive than I mean. Like the other day I was just like, yeah, like do you get it that I'm just asking questions, Derry? And then you were like, yeah, I get it. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah. And here's my answers why I still stand by what I said.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyway, we're going to read, guys. So let's go. We'll go to, what do you reckon? 2:30? We'll do a different one. We'll go to
quarter two?
Quarter two. We'll go to quarter two. And that's about another one of the sprints down. All righty. I'm talking about the book this time. Oh, okay. Words of Radiance. Okay. I did pretty well, I think, in that sprint. I got over the halfway mark. So I should knock this one out at some point, either tomorrow or the next day. Yes, Matthias, everybody left. We're not going to make any kind of connection between Kyle's arrival and everybody leaving because we're not. Some of them will be back. Evie's gone to eat dinner with her partner and it sounds yummy, so I hope they enjoy that. And she may return, but we may also be over by then. Here we go, Kyle. Yay. Muted.
Hello, I am unmuted now. What's up?
Yay. Yes, Kev, you are still here. Thank you. Stacey didn't read, but got herself dinner. And
yeah, I'm probably going to get dinner for the next sprint.
Yeah. Good stuff. Still too early here for lunch. I'll probably go for about another hour, maybe 2 more sprints, and then I'll be jumping off to grab myself some lunch before going to see Alan and Christina talk about Rome with their patrons. So
nice.
I'm not going to miss that.
Yeah, definitely not.
And it was good fun. What's for dinner, Stacey? Yeah, come on, tell us what you're going to eat. But did you get much reading done, Kyle?
Yeah, I read about 75 pages of Words of Radiance. So
nice.
I mean, Sanderson's prose is really easy. Plus, like, it's a reread, so like it just goes. So yeah. I want to finish Words of Radiance and Storm of Swords by the end of the week. Luckily, I have a lot of reading time.
So you should be able to.
They are both rereads, and I do have a lot of reading time this week. But that's still like 2,300 pages, 2,400.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, then that's fine. But I don't want to spend too much of the month on rereads because I think I'm in this like readathon with like this person as my leader who's like not very cool. Like somebody I don't know who it is though, but. No, for anybody who I'm on Derry's team. So
yeah,
and I'm very excited. We're gonna win.
We are going to win, and we're going to win because seriously, we've got some awesome people on our team.
Yeah, we do. But all the teams are great. Yada yada. Sportsmanship.
Playing fair and all that. Yeah, no, I think we've got a fantastic team, and it does sound delicious. Yeah. And there's a lot of variation in what's being read, which is fantastic. I've heard of so many books. I'm like, this was supposed to get my TBR lower.
Yeah, I haven't settled on what I'm actually going to read for any of them. Like I have like so many options that I'm just like, I'm still going to mood read it, but I'm going to make sure when I read a book that it fits the prompts. So like I'm reading Sanderson's new book too. So that'll be like the first one that I finish. So that'll be for that. Yeah.
Because I know Treebeard rather, just finished
Bookbeard. Did you just merge Bookborn and Treebeard's names?
I did. It's very strange.
That's
very
funny.
Strange. Yeah, he just finished that second book, and I haven't watched the review, but it looks like to be a very positive one.
He really liked it. It's good. It's probably. I mean, I still have like 60% left. It's probably going to be my least favorite Sanderson.
Really?
But that's. I mean, he's my favorite author, so like that's not like a negative thing.
No, that's me with the
like
Worlds.
Yeah, it'll be like a 3-star, maybe a 3.5 star. I don't know, but it's fun. It's just like it's taking place in like. Actually, people maybe don't want spoilers about it because some people are trying to not know anything about it. So it's fun. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah. No, I mean, I know almost nothing about the books that I'm reading for the readathon. And as I said earlier to Evie, they're the smallest ones I've got because I get them and I'm like, yeah, I can read those really fast. But I'm so busy reading big chonkers that I'm just like, yeah, I get there.
Oh, it's
they're only little.
It's unbelievable. I have so many like 350-page books that I'm like, this would be fantastic to just put in. I do think I'm going to read Legend this month. I've been meaning to read it for a while. And at the same books book fair that I got that Storm of Swords at, I got like 5 like Drenai books for like $2 each. And so I'm like, okay, I should at least start this series now that I got so many of them, and people have been hyping Legend to me. So that'll probably be the next like physical book I pick up.
Yeah. I mean, I read Gimel a long time ago, and I think maybe I was just too young for the, not darkness, but the grit of Gimel. But I
what did you
remember
read?
enjoying
Do you remember?
Waylander.
Yeah, Waylander is one of the ones I picked up.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying Waylander. So yeah,
I read his.
I'm revisiting Gimel might be something I do reasonably soon.
I really recommend. My highest accolades to the Troy trilogy. It is unbelievably good. I think people like don't go for it as much because it's historical fiction ish. I mean, like it's historical fantasy, I suppose. Like they're unlike some things that shadow the line. I do think there's like actually hints of magic in the story, but it is very subtle. It's mostly historical fiction, and I just think those books are excellent. And I'm really impressed by like all the writing in all 3 of those, even like the third one, because Gemmel died while writing it, if people don't know, and so his wife finished the book for him. And I do think that the third one is the least good, but I don't think it's because of the writing. At least not from my I didn't notice any particular change in flow. I just think that like cooler, more evocative things happened in the first 2 books. So
so that sort of final run through of polish maybe didn't happen.
Yeah.
And hey, getting the end to a story can sometimes be more important than being left.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely like. I still gave it 4 stars. It was not a bad read by any means. It's just like the first 2 were enthusiastic, like 5 stars, and then the third one just wasn't quite as good. But what are you reading? I missed when you said what you were reading.
I'm reading The Way of Ydan, Philip's book.
Oh, I did do that. Okay, and how are you liking it so far?
I'm really liking it, and it's such a strange thing to try and explain, because it very much is a mashup of that really old-fashioned fantasy, Tolkien-esque dwarves and ancient kingdoms, and there's clearly lore mashed in with very modern, grim, brutal fantasy, and yet it's quite a seamless merge. I'm really impressed.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what I expected. Like, I'm gonna read it soon. I put it down because sometimes with BookTube, the hype for a book can get like to levels I don't like. And people just lose all reason, which has not actually been the case with Philip's book. I've seen a lot of people give it 4 stars and have like reasonable criticisms, but still really like the book.
Yeah.
But when I first came out, the first like 5 things I heard people say about it was how great the prologue was. And I read the prologue and I just thought the prologue was fine. Like I didn't have any negatives. I was just like, it is not that much. And so I was like, people's comments on this are going to bother me. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait a little bit till people have kind of finished it. I'll probably read it in May just so that I can have my own experience with it. But I'm expecting to really like it.
Yeah. I mean, I felt confident I would like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult not to when you've spoken with the author and you've got a feel for the kind of things that have inspired him in the past. And but I did mute all of the Philip Chase channels everywhere, because I'm like, no, I'll read those when I've read it.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I've already spoken to you about the fact I like to have my own opinions and my own theories without getting that influence beforehand. So I tried not to pay any attention to any of the reviews that were happening or anything anyone was saying. But it's hard to avoid completely. And there was a lot of strong, positive vibe happening.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I better get onto this because it's just going to be really hard to avoid for much longer. And it fit the prompts. And I was like, well, I'm squeezing it in. I
think a lot of people are doing it for the prompts. So yeah.
I mean,
the like community vibes are things I'm still trying to like figure out as I make my way in this space, because I spent my whole life being a very reclusive reader. Like I just, I didn't know people who really read. Like it took me 5 years or so to get one of my best friends who is a reader to read A Song of Ice and Fire. Like,
wow.
And they liked fantasy. They just I just kept being like, oh, you should pick it up. And they just never did. And then it took them 5 years of me pestering them vaguely to read it. And then they finally did. And they're like, yeah, those books were good. And I like wanted to like talk about them. They were like, yeah, they were good. And I was like, I need to discuss this more. So, so being in the community is just kind of different in that way. Because when Fairy Tale by Stephen King came out, I was not going to read it on release, and then everybody was reading. I think the most amount of people I've ever seen across like all the Discords and stuff that I was on were reading it. I was like, okay, I got to be on like day one with this, and I had the exact same experience as almost everybody else, which is that the beginning of that book is incredible, and then not so much.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I don't think it would have been like suddenly my favorite Stephen King book had I, read it separately. But I do think that like hearing other people have that same experience definitely like expedited it, me having the same experience. And so like, I'm always going to wonder, like, would I have liked it a little bit more if I had just read it separately? And so, that's tough to navigate sometimes, because sometimes you get totally swept up and the hype gets you into a book more. So it's not always negative.
No, not at all. And that's why it's like the general vibe around Philip's book has been positive, even though I've managed to avoid specific things or conversations, geared around it. It's difficult to avoid that vibe. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going in knowing I'm at least going to like it. So that helps. But again, I'm too opinionated, and I want to be certain that my own opinion is what I've come to, not an amalgamation of everyone else's opinion. So I was like, no, I want to talk about the book, which means I have to read it early.
Right.
Books that I don't care as much about, I don't avoid.
Do you find yourself confident in your opinion if, like, say you do read something, like say you were reading The Way of Adan and you just hated it. It was like a 2-star read for you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel confident that you wouldn't be reacting to the hype or anything like that? Or like, do you feel confident when you go against the grain or when you are with the grain that it is your own opinion? Or do you worry about the fact?
I usually do, in that I can usually verbalize why it hasn't gelled with me, why I bounced off it, or why I love it so much. It's when I can't establish that. Oh, sorry, that's groundwork happening. It's when I can't. We may be not sprinting for long because he may be there a while. Cats run away. It's when I can't verbalize why I'm responding to a book that I think I'm being influenced, because I'm like, well, is that actually my opinion or not? And
yeah. So I'm kind of different that way. Whereas, like, so maybe it's just the way that I think about like how we're all influenced by things all the time. That like, so me liking, Brandon Sanderson did not happen in a vacuum. Like, this is obviously a very good book. Like I would hold it up as one of my favorites at any point, but it also, my whole life happened first and I picked them up at the right time, like all that kind of stuff is just very, even just the fact that I knew it had a high Goodreads rating, like that influences people. And I think it's naive when people think that they're not influenced by things like that. They are. And so I always second guess. And I know people find that surprising because I state my opinions very firmly, but it's because I just don't hedge when I'm talking. But I always second guess when I really like a book. And I'm like, am I just feeling this way because people pointed out how great the battle scenes are? Do they like, am I just parroting what people told me? And I went in primed to expect that, So there's a series, Andrea Stewart's the Drowned Kingdom series. Or no, I'm saying the Drowned Kingdom series because I'm seeing PL right here. It's the Bone Shard trilogy.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people really like those books, and I read the first 2, and I don't like them. But I don't have, like, normally I have, like, well-reasoned, like, something that to point to why I don't like it, but I just, like, it doesn't, it vexes me. I actually DNF'd the second book, and then I went back a couple months later and finished it to see if I could figure out what it was. And it just, like, they're just 2-star reads for me. Like, I just don't understand. Like,
it's just not connecting.
Yeah, I don't have any problems, except that I feel like it's a first draft. And that's, like, a really mean thing to say, but I don't mean it. I just means, like, it feels like there needs to be more there. And that's where I'm worried. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to more people about this series and I can figure out why I don't like it. But I'm just rambling because I've been at home alone all day. So
it's fine. But I get that, because when sometimes you're looking for just a verbalization of what you feel, but you can't figure that out until you hear the words. And you're like, yes, that's the problem that I had with it. And so you still need to reach that conclusion on your own, but it's talking to people to really help flesh out your reasons.
Video
I
essays are
find
really
it-
good for that kind of stuff too, where it's like it
Oh.
puts in words what I feel without me knowing about it. Also, PL had a few things up here that I did want to respond to. PL, I think you will love The Grace of Kings. I'm very, very excited that you're starting it soon.
Yes.
And then he had a question for the two of us. How much does what your friends are reading influence your choices? Lots of FOMO. Why don't you answer that first, Derry, if you want?
Well, I tend not to be influenced hugely by what the rest of BookTube is doing because I so rarely read new things to my brain. Because of my stroke, I struggle with I struggle with taking in new worlds, and so I actually really have to work at bringing a new fantasy world into my brain. So I have to really, really want to put in that effort. And a lot of the stuff that comes out just seems a bit sort of, I don't know, samey. And I'm like, no, I need something that really stands out that I really have to want to read. So when I read First Law last year, it was purely based on the absolute obsessive love that Liana has for it. Like, she doesn't like very much. So for her to love it means there's something about that series that clearly stands out. So I read that, and I read it thoroughly, and I did physical, and then I read them on audio, because if I double it up, I can help embed it in my brain. So while it's not necessarily FOMO, because I accept I'm going to miss out on a lot of what people are reading, I do pay attention for the ones that really stand out, of people who are really passionate about a specific book, instead of going, oh yeah, it was really good and it was fun, it did this. People who are like, I don't even have words, I'm so excited. Those ones I want to read. But yeah. What about you, Carl?
First of all, I have a question to follow up on that, which is, so I know when I first entered the sphere, you were telling me about like your stroke and stuff, and you were saying that like you did a lot of rereads because it's really hard for you to visualize worlds. Basically what you just said. And since then, I've noticed you do read like more than at the time you were other stuff. So do you find that with practice it does get easier for you, or like is it just that now that you've been in the community for a while, you've heard about all of these books that you really want to try, so you're just willing to devote more effort and energy to it? Or what do you think?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, like anything, the brain is a muscle and you work out, and reading new things makes reading new things easier. And by joining BookTube and finding everybody, is I also found AP, who at the time was doing a series on different ways of reading a text. And so he was talking about close reading and how you basically just get different things from text. And that slowed me down a lot because I inhale books. I'm not as fast as you with 75 pages in half an hour, but I'm pretty quick.
It was 45 minutes, but okay.
Well, yeah, okay. It's a lot in that time, and I'm not quite that fast, but I am pretty fast. And it made me stop and think, okay, maybe that's my trouble, and that I'm expecting my brain that's now broken to keep up with that pace that I can do on a reread that I used to be able to do with a new read. So now I read slower with a new read, and I deliberately try and pace myself slower to do that. And that has helped. Plus, you're in this community with people who are really passionate about the things they love. And I kind of can get a feel for some series by how people talk about them. Like I knew about characters in First Law before I read First Law. So there was like a vague familiarity already there formatively. So I think all of those things have helped.
It's interesting.
But yeah, I do read a lot more new than I did when I first discovered BookTube, definitely, which is great. And I'm always really proud of myself. If I go higher than 50% of my reads are new, I'm like, I read so much new. I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
It's been a blessing. Seriously, BookTube, best thing ever.
It really changes things. I don't know if I've actually ever told you this, but my wife works with like stroke rehab. So that's why I have questions. Yeah, so she's an occupational therapist. Actually, she just switched jobs. So now she doesn't exclusively work with stroke rehab, but for like 4 years, it was literally her whole job was like people, like as soon as they got out of care, she helped them rehabilitate and stuff. So she tells me all sorts of things about
Yeah.
people and their strokes, and that's a big thing too. Is that a lot of people right after a stroke, they want to get back to where they were so much, and like there's a readjustment period. So it makes sense that you had to readjust. But
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you're like getting a lot
It's-
more reading done. Yeah.
It part of it too was I didn't get diagnosed at the time, so I had a whole heap of other things going on, and it just didn't. It wasn't diagnosed when it happened, and other things got in the way. So when I did have something that caused me to have a CAT scan, and they were like, "You've clearly had a stroke. Here's this little patch of dead brain tissue," and I'm like, I knew it. But it meant that everything that had happened previous had to be sort of reassessed and gone, okay,
Right. Yeah.
how much of that was what we thought was the problem and how much of that was the stroke? And I hadn't been doing any sort of mental, testing to sort of push against the things that were happening, not knowing that it was possibly a result of the stroke. So when I add that as well, in that being aware, and suddenly going, oh, maybe it's because I had a stroke that I struggled to read things. And since working through that, it's helped.
It's not the same thing at all. But I just recently had a concussion, and it was the first time that I'd had any sort of because a concussion, I felt normal. I don't know, so it was just after the fact, I had kind of a meltdown here on BookTube one day, which Derry is aware of. And at the time, I was just unable to calm myself down at all. I was literally I went from super calm in a good mood to a 10 of distress out of nowhere. Yeah. And I just could not calm down. And then once I removed myself from the situation for a while, I was this was not everybody was joking. It was everything was fine. But you don't know because I had a concussion
in the moment,
and so that really gave me a lot of empathy for just people who have had any sort of problems with their brain, whether it's stroke or just degenerative issues or CTE or anything like that, because in the moment, it's not a sign flashes and it's hey, your brain is different, it just everything feels
normal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels logical, and it feels like this is entirely appropriate, even though, as you said, later you look back and go, oh, I read that whole thing completely wrong. So,
but to answer PL's question, I don't get FOMO too much. I do and I don't. I agree with you where it's if people are really shouting about a series, that series is probably good. I like most things. I know there's a thing where it's Kyle has wrong opinions or whatever, but if most people like a thing, I actually usually like that thing, and I do think there's a reason a lot of people like a thing. I know a lot of people don't like Sanderson, or they don't like Dresden Files or George R. R. Martin, whatever it is. But the reason a lot of people like those books is that they speak to people well. So I mean, I didn't like the first few Dresden books, but I listened to people and I was like, okay, something is going on here, and then that was right. So I do try and calibrate my expectations based on what people that I have similar opinions on enjoy. And then Tall Guy reads and Jordan reads, we have a group chat, and we just do buddy reads at the drop of a hat. Those two are such bad influences because they'll be I'm picking up The Wolf this month, and I'll be screw it, let's buddy read The Wolf. And I feel we read 3 or 4 books together a month, at least. That's any cool, two of us do, or at least all 3 of us. And so when my friends are picking up books that I already want to read, it'll make me more likely to put that to the front of my list, but it doesn't usually make me if everybody's reading The Way of Adan, I don't necessarily want to pick it up just because everybody's talking about it.
No, but it's when the people that you normally sort of have these discussions with, it's
right.
No, I want to discuss that with them. And I have to respond to the chat because PL, you're on my channel, and you have only read one Hobb book. This hurts my heart, my friend, because it's amazing, and I can't sell this series more strongly than it will change your life. My friend,
no pressure.
And her use of words is so beautiful. Just her character work is sublime. And please, please, when you have a gap in your TBR, please continue in the Realm of the Elderlings. I will answer messages in any forum. If you want to ask me something, please do. So, yeah, I need to know that you're going to continue.
Derry is a little biased.
I admit this freely. I admit this. I am massively biased.
What I would say, PPL, is that I also wasn't blown away by Assassin's Apprentice. Like, I really liked it. Like, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was enjoyable, but it isn't a book that I think just like for a lot of people just like blows you out of the water. Like, it's a 6 for a lot of the time. And, you know, the villains are pretty one note. And like, you know, I can totally get why it's like, yeah, that was good. And then, but man, just Royal Assassin is so good. Like, so good. And, you know, some good stuff happens in Assassin's Quest. Royal Assassins might be one of the best book 2s of anything I've ever read. Like, I really liked Royal Assassin.
And it is quite straight. And as I mentioned earlier, with doing the book ranking with Mara earlier in the week, it's really interesting to see what gels with some readers and what doesn't. In that we all come out of it going, that was fantastic. And yet the individual things that make up that series really land differently with everyone who reads it. So for me, I'm trying to always find new ways to explain it without giving anything away. And at the moment, it is, when you read Realm of the Elderlings, don't look for a plot. This is a life story where plot is a result of the life story. So everything Fitz does, everything these characters do, you're just experiencing their events in their life, and that the background to it, the events create results on the grander scale, which is the plot of the Realm of the Elderlings. So it can be incredibly immersive, but if you're someone who needs those plot points to be moving along rapidly, it can feel just really long.
Yeah, I will say I'm really excited to get back to Fitz. He's not one of my favorite characters. I know a lot of people kind of fall in love with him with Tawny Man, but a lot of people really like him right in Farseer, and I don't dislike him. I'm just like, sure, but I like all the side characters. Like almost every single side character, I'm just here for. So, and I think Hobbs' ability to write really engaging secondary characters through first person is like next, like bar none, like very, very good. And then I just fell in love with all of the live ship cast, and I wanted to read Fool's Errand in January and do one a month, and I just like kept not doing it. And then Fool's Errand fits in some of the prompts for the readathon, and I'm like, I gotta stop putting it. And I also like I have 2 shelves, very small shelves here, and two stacked like shelf, like bookcases, small bookcases, and 2 of those shelves are Hobbs, because I had one that was the Hobb that I brought, and then I went and found a bunch of hardcovers, and I was like, well, I have to buy these hardcovers even though I don't have space. So then I had to clear out something else and put. So I have 2 of my like 7 shelves are Hobb, which is, and I've only read 6 of her books, so I'm like, I gotta read more.
This makes me happy. And yeah, I totally will be talking to you as you work your way through Tawny Man. Again, though, to PL's question is, I have read some Janny Wirtz. I haven't read The Wars of Light and Shadow. Those are pretty daunting to me at the moment. But I've read a handful of her smaller stuff a long time ago. And I will be joining Alan in July through September, reading the Empire trilogy again. For me, it's another one I've reread a great many times. And it will be Alan's first read of the trilogy. And she co-wrote that with Raymond Feist as a parallel series to the Magician Rift War books. But you don't need to have read any of the Rift War books to read the Empire trilogy, because the overlap is so incredibly minimal. Like it's irrelevant. But so Janny Wirtz,
I'm going to start. That'll be my first Janny Wirtz, and my first like Feist is that trilogy. If I do own Magician. If I like it, I'm going to go back and read Magician. But there's like so many books in that series, and they're like all like separated into sub-series. I just want to do the one that Patrick says is amazing, and then also Joanna put Curse of the Mistwraith as my, or no, To Ride Hell's Chasm. She put To Ride Hell's Chasm on my 12 books from 12 Booktubers list. So I will
wicked.
be reading that this year at some point too. I know it's like a slower book, so I want to clear off some of my TBR. It'll probably be like October or November that I do, but I will read it this year.
Yeah. From what I'm familiar with Words, it's very, a bit like Hob, it's very rich. There's a, how can I put it? There's a density, not in that it's difficult or that it's a challenge, but it's like eating really rich food. Like there's just so much that's so beautiful that you just like, I just want to wallow in it. Janny Wirtz has that the same way that Hob does. But we've been chin-wagging for ages.
Yeah.
So
I really want to eat. So
and you need to eat.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, I'm going to do one last sprint then. And if you end up heading off and not returning, then that's cool too. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And,
You're doing them tomorrow too, right?
I am. I'll be doing them just
All
about
right.
every day for the month.
Send me a link tomorrow. I'm also home most of the day tomorrow, so I'll probably
awesome.
But
right.
yeah, I'm just gonna turn off my camera while I order food, and then I'll come read. So
sweet. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get to reading.
So
there we go. Ah, I'm really enjoying this book.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Remember how I said I treat my books well?
What happened?
So this is my second reading of this book, and the first time I was reading it, I read it for so long. So I read 750 pages in one day, and I had it open for so long that the first 3 pages of the book just fell out because of the binding. But other than that, it's been fine. So I was just reading it, and I kind of forgot about that, and then the acknowledgments page
Oh no!
fell out. So I'm slowly losing things here. This will be the last read of this book. I think I'll have to buy a new one.
You can, if you have the patience for it, if you just put a line of PVA glue on a piece of paper, just dip the very edge of the page.
Oh no, I don't. It's a $10 paperback.
Okay.
I also want, like, I mean, I'm gonna get the Kickstarter when it comes out next year or whatever. So that'll be like the nice leather bounds,
okay.
and then I want to get the UK editions. So like, I'm gonna have a lot of brands. I don't need this,
No, fair enough.
this paperback.
I am reading The Way of Edan, Kate, and make a collage of all the paper that fell out.
That'd be nice. I already threw out the other ones though. I just have this one for Oliver Sanderson. Did you read the essay that Sanderson wrote?
I did not.
You should read it.
I
is very, very good.
Say I've never read any Brandon Sanderson. Not a single thing.
That's fine. That's fine. But you should read this essay. I posted it in, I think, Jimmy's Discord, but I can even just send it to you. You're familiar with the Wired article, like even if you didn't read it.
I am aware it exists, and that people are
sorry, somebody's calling me. Just a sec.
So, but yeah, talking about that, make a collage of all the papers. The teenage girl in the house did that with her very battered and tattered copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So one of her walls is the first half of the book, and I love it. It looks great. Her mother's not as impressed because, that's just an awful lot of stuff stuck to the wall, but I like it. I think it looks great. And Philip, I am really having a good time with Philip's book, Kate. It's so good. I'm really enjoying it. Kev's off to the gym, so that's cool. And I'm pretty much just going to wait for Carl to head back and say goodbye because I need to have some lunch before I then log on to the Patreon stream that Alan and Christina will be doing, talking about their trip to Rome, which I've really enjoyed hearing about, even though I haven't read any of the books that everybody has read with Alan that has increased their love. I know that Kate, your episode with Dr. Fantasy went live today. I haven't watched it yet because I got up, I got the kids off to school, and then pretty much started sprinting. I have done a load of washing, so that's something. But I haven't watched that. I shall watch that this afternoon. And he's just such a lovely man. He's so lovely. I do want to talk to him about his book when I'm finished, because there's a lot here. Or maybe I should just watch more of his conversations with AP. So, because I'm sure they'll go into great depth. And although I do need to know from Philip how to pronounce some of these names, place names, people names, I need to know.
What are we trying to pronounce?
The names in Philip's book.
Oh, geez. I know there's Day Raven.
Yes, there is a Day Raven, and pretty much everybody else I'm going to need help with. And I think I know how they said, but I also spent a little bit of my very, very young life in Wales, in the UK. So I kind of know how I think they should sound, but I'm not certain.
I cannot believe that he put Bagsack in this book. I want to ask Philip one time. I'm just like, did you ever at any point in these 18 years reconsider the name Bagsack? Because I think
there's probably a story about how it's a deep and meaningful historic thing.
For sure. Beowulf's son was named Bagsack, and then, Tolkien actually was going to name Frodo Bagsack, but then he changed his mind at the last minute. And you only know that because one time somebody took a Tolkien letter and put it on a tree and then burned that tree, and you could read in the ashes what Frodo's real name was. And Philip's the only person who's ever done that, you know? So, no, I get it. I'm sure there's a story.
Yes, exactly that.
I'm gonna finish my story real quick about
please.
So there was that Wired article about Brandon Sanderson, and it was a very mean-spirited article. I don't even recommend reading it. Don't give it the time of day. It was just mean. But Brandon responded on Reddit, and he was just kind of like very, very nice, like the classiest response of all time. He was like, this guy's a colleague of mine. He was under a deadline. Cut him some slack. It is what it is. He doesn't have to like me. Like, just very, very classy.
That's class.
But then in the comments, he was kind of like, like you can always expect that press could be negative, but this one did feel like more of a betrayal because the guy like tried to be really nice. Like, he was acting like he was a really big fan, and he was like being really enthusiastic, and he like went on a roller coaster with like Sanderson's son and stuff. So like he had crossed kind of the air of professional boundaries. So Sanderson kind of felt betrayed. That was what I was getting from his responses. And that was like, 2 weeks ago or whatever. And then yesterday he posted this blog on his own site called Outside. And you can tell that this article kind of got under his skin, and like things don't normally get under his skin. So he was kind of just like mulling the reason that he writes, and like what made him a writer, and like how he lives his whole life kind of at like a 7. Whereas like he's not super emotional about really anything. And that has always made people like a little nervous around him, because it's like when they're super, super happy, he's like kind of chill. And when they're super sad, he's like kind of chill. And so it's a really, really good essay. Like, I read it while I was at work, and I was like, I didn't like missed up, but I was very emotional like while reading it, because I really felt like it. Like
and a good writer can do that, in that it can resonate with you, even though it's not being overtly emotional, but it's just touching on things that are important.
And it's an extremely good essay. I recommend anybody, whether you like Sanderson as a fiction writer or not, you should read that article or that essay. It's very good.
I'll definitely have a look. Definitely.
But yeah, my food is here, so I'm gonna go eat. But this was awesome. Thanks for having me on.
And thanks for joining. That was great. I'm glad I remembered to throw you a link. So, I'll be doing these almost every day this month. So I will probably see a lot of you all tomorrow. And you are welcome back again, Kyle. And enjoy your lunch.
Buddy. This is my supper. I live in places that are having supper.
Well, okay, sorry.
Enjoy
your supper.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.